What's good, everybody? It's another Ask FP, and we are here. I'm gonna break down as many of these questions as I could formulate and put into the whole overall structure. We're gonna talk about a lot. NBA 2K. We're gonna talk about some basketball. I got some football questions. I got a lot of stuff just piled up. So, I'm looking forward to getting into that. Also, I want to let you guys know that I'm working on some more baseball videos now, trying to put those out. Those don't work the same, so I can't rush those out as quickly as I could like some of the other ones. But let's go ahead and jump into the questions. 1-1 Warriors, Index West, says, what do you think the Celtics have to do to become what they were in the 07-08 days? Isaiah Thomas is a big part in his opinion. I don't know if Isaiah Thomas can be a big part, because I think he's a good scorer coming off the bench, and he's kind of like a spark plug kind of a guy. But I think they just need to continue to build the team in Brad Stevens' image. That's the best way for a team. Once you got a team that's bought into a head coach, you got to put players around them that buy into the system. I think that's the best way. I think they're moving in the right direction. Ryan Van says, which foreign player would you rather have, Kristaps Porzingis or Mario Hezonja? For me, it would be Mario Hezonja. I love his swag. I love his ability to score from the inside and outside. I love the fact that he can finish at the rim with athleticism. And he is just that kind of a give me the ball kind of a guy. Kristaps Porzingis reminds me a little bit of Jonathan Bender, which is, okay. So Ben Kukla says, do you think that Ben Zobrist will fit with the Cubs? If so, who would the Cubs be willing to give up? Well, I do think he'd fit. A utility guy can play, just about every position on the field almost. Definitely would fit. He's had success with Joe Madden in the past, but he's 34 years old and he's hitting like 205. So I don't think the Cubs should be giving up anything more than a lower level minor league prospect for Zobrist. So we'll see. Ben Kukla says, who do you compare Chris Bryant to, both current day player and a past player? Love your stuff. I appreciate it, Ben. Well, the first time I saw him, I thought Troy Glaus. But the more I see of him and see how he's so much more than a slugger. And he's also a better athlete than Glaus. So then I start to think maybe a Scott Rowland type of a player. But I think he's going to even be a better hitter than him. So it's hard for me to say, really. Weston Flores says, should MLB make a movie about Josh Hamilton, and what do you think about Joey Gallo's MLB debut? Well, if somebody made a movie about it, it wouldn't be MLB. It'd be some other, movie production company or whatever. But I think it would be interesting. I always hope and pray that he gets everything together, and is able to kind of write a happy ending. I thought Joey Gallo's debut was really awesome. It was better than Chris Bryant's. I mean, we know Bryant struck out like 3 or 4 times in his debut, but we'll see what happens down the line for him. I think he's a good-looking prospect. Weston Flores also says, what are your thoughts on Brock Lesnar versus Steve Austin possibly happening in WrestleMania 32? That'd be interesting. It's all about, if you're going to do one of those old historic matches, you got to pull it off like they did the Triple H Sting match. You got to make it have some real, nostalgic significance or significance to the current storyline. So that's the key. Bulls fan says, who do you think will win the Defensive Player of the Year next year, and did Kawhi deserve it this year? I think it's hard to say he didn't deserve it. I think and he's in a position where he could be one of those guys that strings together 2 or 3 in a row, like Ben Wallace, Dwight Howard, and those guys did. So I think he definitely deserved it. He guards everybody. So I don't have a problem with him winning it. Bulls fan says also, what is your opinion on the refs in the Bulls-Cavs series? Do you think they were fair or unfair? I'm going to have to tell you, dog, you got to let it go. We already all the way in the finals. That was like 2-3 series ago. I'll be honest, I don't think the refs were a problem in the series. I really don't. I think the Bulls' lack of energy, I think just poor offensive execution was more the issue. So I think that's what really was the problem. Hunter Shawley says, do you think that Chris Bryant will win the National League Rookie of the Year and maybe a future multi-time All-Star in the long run? He definitely, I think, is going to be a multi-time All-Star, barring some sort of injury or some other unfortunate situation. And in terms of the Rookie of the Year, I would have to say he has to be the leading guy right now. I mean, he's a very important part of the Cubs lineup, always on base, proven run producer. I would say he's the guy. EJ all day. Emilson Jorge says, who do you think was the sleeper in this NFL draft? I think Bryce Petty out of Baylor was the sleeper. It's possible. I think it might be a little bit too early to tell, but I like Adrian Amos for the Chicago Bears. He may very well start at free safety for the Bears, and I think he was a 5th or 6th round pick. So I would keep an eye on him for sure. But Bryce Petty definitely could be. He also says, who comes second in the AFC East this upcoming season? I got the Bills going 9-7. I can't argue with that. I think New England still wins the division. I think they're going to be fired up based off of what they're going to perceive as like a us versus them type of mentality after Deflategate. But I think the Bills do finish second, and I think it could be even 10-6 and not just 9-7. So that's a team to watch this year and then moving forward. EJ all day again says, who do you think will be the best wide receiver in the next 5 years? I got either Odell Beckham Jr. or Amari Cooper. I would have to say Amari Cooper or the Bears' Kevin White. Also, keep an eye on Evans from Tampa Bay. But only thing, Odell Beckham Jr. is amazing and ridiculously athletic, but he plays a style of game that makes it appear as though he's going to have a short career. He's already been hit with a lot of injuries, so I just don't know about his durability. Emerson Jorge also says Teddy Bridgewater or Derek Carr. From what we've seen thus far, I would have to say Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not down on Derek Carr at all, but I just would say from the small sample size that we've seen from both guys, I would be more impressed with Teddy Bridgewater's rookie season than I would be with what we saw from Derek Carr. But I think both of the teams can feel like they have their quarterback in the future for right now. Golden State Fan 30 says, what new features in 2K16 would you like to see for a greater player? Because I know you're a fan of that stuff. Yes, I am. I would like to see you be able to make somebody bigger than 7'2". And I don't mean for the park, because, that can get crazy. But I'm talking about for just your roster. I would like to see you be able to have headbands, goggles, tattoos. Can I pick my own nickname again? Those are the things that I would like to see. And body types, more varying body types. I don't think a 280-pound man should look the same as a 180-pound man. Just that don't work that way, okay? Alrighty, Golden State Fan also says, do you agree with players not being able to jump to the pros out of high school, or should they have a different rule? I don't like that rule at all. I think it's inadvertently racist. And I don't think it was planned to be that way, but I think that's the way it manifests itself. I think it's just because there's no other sport in the world, really, outside of football, and it's understandable with that blocks you from an age range. This was done particularly to appeal more to season ticket holders who didn't like the look and feel of the league, which I think is wrong. Solomon says, what was your favorite part of the NBA playoffs this year? Mine was the weekend of buzzer beaters in the second round. I would have to agree with you, even though one of those buzzer beaters I did not like very much because it was LeBron James beating the Bulls, but it was definitely awesome nonetheless. My info says, with Arkansas's road to Omaha, do you think they can win a national championship? I don't think they can win a national championship. I'm looking at either LSU or Vanderbilt, but of course they're in the same bracket in the College World Series, so they can't, they can play each other. They have both of those teams have difficult paths because they're going to probably have to run through each other. But I like Vandy. Just so much talent on that team, it's ridiculous. Armando Cepeda says, what can the Rockets do to improve next year, and who should they target in the draft? Well, I really think they need a point guard. I think they need a point guard who can somewhat take the ball out of James Harden's hand a little bit. Someone who can run the offense and get a lot of different guys' shots so that they can be all plugged in and all in on both ends of the floor. I think they have gone as far as they can go with Harden taking 50 to 60% of the shots or whatever he's taking. And it's not really a bash on Harden. It's just let him play two guard and not let him play point. You know what I'm saying? Simon Torvey Sunderland says, what is the best free throw release in NBA 2K15? For me, I like free throw 27, and Larry Johnson on the old school Charlotte Hornets has it. It's just really smooth, you know, there's no hitch in it. That's my favorite one. Simon Torvey Sunderland says, with Dikembe Mutombo announced as a Hall of Famer, will Allen Iverson follow in the future? I would definitely think he will be. If you think about it, why wouldn't Iverson make it in? Dennis Rodman's in, and that's really kind of like the bad boy gauge, whether or not they're going to let somebody in. Thankfully, the NBA isn't like Major League Baseball, where you got to be like a ordained minister or something to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. Let's keep it about sports. Unless somebody like kills somebody or something, let's just keep it about sports, and you know, just not try to penalize people for their personal transgressions. This is a Hall of Fame about sports, not about, you know, humanity and all of that sort of thing. Simon Torvey Sunderland says, what do you think? What do you like best? Sponsored league brands, Barclays, Premier League, etc., or clean brands like the NBA, NFL, MLB, etc.? I like the clean brands personally. I don't even like when you see the Rattle Rattle Thundercracker Car XM Muffler Bowl. I mean, what is going on with all of that? That's a whole lot. But I understand from a business standpoint, but I like the clean brands. Solomon says, the Monstars challenge you to a game. Which fictional basketball players do you recruit? Teen Wolf, Kenny Tyler. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't take them. I'd probably take Dwayne Martin's character from Above the Rim. I always forget his name. Jesus Shuttlesworth from He Got Game. There you go. I got two of them for you. All right, so NBA 89 says, what's your favorite NBA jersey? And then you got this real pretty picture of the jerseys. I don't know exactly what you're asking me. I really don't. So I'm going to assume that you meant just like out of the jerseys that's on this list. And for that, my answer would be the number 40 Shawn Kemp jersey. Shawn Kemp was one of my favorite players. I love that Sonics jersey. And yeah, that one was really dope. My brother had that jersey, actually. I used to try to sneak it and wear it sometimes. Golden State Fan 30 says, I was wondering why 2K won't put protected draft picks in their games, and the picks in game aren't on the right teams. I think this whole draft pick thing is really, it's not as simple as it might seem, because, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of people just don't even understand how the whole protected draft pick thing works. I'm not saying 2K doesn't understand, but it's a fairly complicated system, and I think to make it work properly in a video game takes a little bit more than what we think. So I think that that's the problem, why it's not quite in there right and not totally in there altogether. So Simon Torvey Sunderland also says, Roy Hibbert gets some criticism from Pacers fans. What do you think of him, and do you like him or Mahinmi better? I definitely like Hibbert better. I think he's just got a more refined game. Mahinmi's a better athlete, but Hibbert understands the game. He has a good touch around the basket, but I think mentally he fades in and out. I think that's the problem with him. Nightwing says, do you remember there was a mode in NBA 2K12 called Create a Legend, and could we get that back in NBA 2K16? I don't think we'll ever see that back because their analytics said that people didn't play it. So I was actually told that by 2K. They said that hardly nobody played that mode. But what I would like, and I think it would be much less of a time investment from them, is allow you to do player lock. So just let me play a game and do player lock on whoever I want it. And I think that would be cool. I don't need the whole production of a mode, but just let me play a game, player lock if I choose to. King Chaos says a new franchise in Seattle means a new franchise for the Eastern Conference as well, right? I haven't heard about an Eastern Conference city that would get a new team. But if for me, if I had to pick one, I would love to see a franchise in St. Louis. That just seems awesome. St. Louis Spirits back in the ABA, or even maybe Virginia back in the ABA and Virginia Squires. So those two cities seem like they should actually have a team. King Chaos says, do you think that the new 500 gigabyte Xbox 360 will let us face scan in NBA 2K16, and should WWE 2K have face scan, head scan? WWE 2K should and probably will have face scan, which I think is going to be pretty awesome. And no, the storage space has nothing to do with whether or not you can do face scans. That's the overall processor of the machine itself, that technology it's not about storage. So that adding a bigger hard drive is just about storage. It doesn't change the capabilities of the machine. King Chaos also says, have you ever played Binary Domain for the Xbox 360? If you haven't, you should. I have not played it, but I did look at a video after I read your question, and it looks pretty cool. Looks like a Gears of War kind of a jump off, so I kind of like those games. I'm not gonna lie and say I'd play it, but because I got like 448,628 games that I haven't played that I should be playing, so I'm sorry about that. But Tyler Noel says, what are your thoughts about EA bringing back EA Track for Madden 16? It's all right. I don't. I'm not the type of person that really gets all crazy over the soundtrack. Oh, they got this song. Woo! No, I don't really do it. It don't do it for me like that. I mean, because after a while, I don't care how great the soundtrack is. After a while, you start tuning that boy out. That's just what it is. I mean, and then sometimes the songs just start beating in your head over and over and over again. But, you know. Tyler Noel also says, do you know who will be making the soundtrack for NBA 2K16? They have not announced that yet. Did anybody ever really care that much about that, though? I mean, I know Jay-Z did it, and he did the whole production for the game. He made NBA 2K look like Saints Row or something. That was how the menus looked. But, you know, I can either live or, you know, I don't have to have that. Tyler Noel says, when do you think Sami Zayn will make his main roster debut? It could be Money in the Bank. You never know. You never know. Money in the Bank seems like it might be a good place for him to jump in. Maybe he does something to cost Kevin Owens something, you know. So you might be wondering what this is. So what was it? Yesterday was National Best Friends Day, and I did not acknowledge it. So I want to acknowledge my best friend. It's my wife. She's awesome. She's beautiful. All of that. I love her. So National Best Friends, belated National Best Friends Day thingamabob is what I just did. But I appreciate y'all watching. Subscribe, follow. God bless. Peace.